Hey everyone, welcome back to another video here with Grind Season Outdoors. So right now we're in the off season as far as deer hunting goes, and we've also been doing a lot of fishing. We got plenty of fishing videos that we've posted this year already, and we'll probably be posting a few more here after this. But we're doing a lot of off-season work as far as trail cameras go, and we haven't got to putting tree stands out yet. We're just kind of trying to figure out where to spend most of our time. We do have a couple deer that we're after out here this year, but we're just trying to get pictures of them, figure out where they're at, and right now it's about the end of June. June 27th, I believe, is today. So we got time to figure them out, but today we're going to be checking some of these cameras, and as you can see back behind me, I got a camera here. I'll be talking a little bit more about this on our series, The Grind, that's going to be coming out here this fall or this winter throughout our deer season and the off season and everything. But I just wanted to give you guys some tips on how to get the most out of your trail cameras when that comes to just getting good pictures and setting them up and all that. Just try to give you some helpful tips on how you can get the most out of them, get some good pictures, and hopefully get a big buck. So we're gonna jump into that here and hopefully we can help you. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about the 3 main times a year that I'm gonna be running my cameras. I actually run them most of the year, but usually in the springtime, after most of the deer drop their antlers and stuff, that's just kind of the time to bring the cameras in, get all the batteries changed, just make sure all the maintenance is up to date on them and everything. But in the summer here, that's when I'm gonna start running my cameras again, once the deer are growing their antlers, and I'm just trying to see what there is and where to spend my time. So the big thing in the summertime is just dealing with all this grass. There's spots like this where it's a high percentage, highly used area, and I want to have a camera here. We came in here and we picked some of this grass by hand when it hadn't really grown in this much and just kind of patted it down. So I probably had a few weeks where this grass wasn't like this and now it grew back. So I'm going to come in with the weed whacker and I'm just going to clear this stuff out really good. That way I can get better pictures and I don't just have thousands of pictures of the grass blowing around. Now, when it comes to doing this, I'm more focused on right in front of the camera and a little bit out here so that I can get a good clear picture. But once you get far away from the camera, it's not a huge deal. The biggest priority is those weeds that are growing up right in front of the camera, and they're going to be blowing back and forth, making the camera go off and getting in the way. So the things that I'm going to look for this time of year is just really heavily used trails. That could be just little pinch points where the deer have to always move through. If you're really out there scouting a lot and just figuring out where they are, you can put them in spots where you know the deer are going to be. But the biggest thing this time of year is just trying to figure out where the deer are. You might have to spend a lot of time moving cameras around, and for me, I've kind of messed around with it year after year, and I just figured out the spots that work the best in the summertime, and I'm still moving cameras around in different places. So the summertime, as far as running the trail cameras and having them in a good spot, can be one of the toughest times of year to do that. But if you just take a little bit of time to prep your location, that way you're getting good pictures, you're not, killing your battery with the grass blowing around, and just do a little bit of work. It's not rocket science. You just got to take a little bit of time to think about it, think outside the box, think about how you're gonna position your camera to actually get pictures of deer and have it, give you the best that it can do. The second part of running my trail cameras is going to be basically in the fall. Like once deer season starts, you start seeing scrapes and rubs and all that kind of stuff. Usually I'm going to pull most of my cameras, unless it's in a spot like this where deer are constantly going through here, like I said. I'm going to move them and put them over scrapes. I don't like to put cameras over rubs because most of the time a deer is only going to hit that rub once, or it might hit it a few times, but the scrapes are where the deer will constantly hit those, and almost every buck as it goes past that scrape will hit that scrape. So I'm going to move all my cameras over these scrapes, and that's just a way that I'm going to see every single buck that's on the property, and you're going to get the most amount of pictures. You're going to be getting tons of pictures, and you know right where the deer is going to be. So there again, just make sure there's nothing in front of your camera that's going to be setting it off other than a deer or whatever other kind of wildlife moves in front of there. Just do that little bit of work when you're setting it up to make sure it's in the right spot and it's going to take good pictures. third and last time of the year that we're going to talk about here is going to be the winter time. I know a lot of people pull their cameras after deer season, but I just like to keep my cameras out there. I mean, it's just a nice time to see what made it through deer season and maybe get some pictures of those deer as they're losing their antlers and stuff like that. And when it comes to the winter time, I'm usually just going to keep my cameras in higher percentage locations where the deer are traveling through, or a good food source if you have one. So those are kind of the 3 main times a year. Now I'm going to kind of do some more work here and get moving through some of these cameras and just talk to you about a few more things as we go. The next thing that I want to kind of talk about here is how I like to set my cameras up on a deer trail. So a lot of times in the woods you're going to find little intersections like this where the trails come together and they cross, or there might be 4 or 5 trails all coming together in the same place. Or if it's just one good spot where they're coming out of the woods or whatever, you know, a lot of times you're limited on the trees that you can put your camera on. So for one example, I'm going to talk about how you're going to put a camera off to the side of the trail. If you got a tree, preferably smaller than this one, but if you're going to put a camera on a tree that's off to the side of the trail like this, I like to just offset the camera so it's at about a 45-degree angle onto the trail. Now the reason that I like to do that is because when the deer are walking down that trail back and forth and the camera's at a 45-degree, if it comes from this way, usually the camera's going to go off and you're going to get like a diagonal picture of that deer, but it should be in the center of the picture. And then the same deal if it's coming this way, usually the deer is going to get right about to the middle of the frame, it'll take a picture, and that deer's head is going to be right in front of the camera. Now if you put the camera facing straight on at the trail, a lot of times the deer is going to pass it and you're going to get a picture of its ass when it's, you know, already gone past the camera. So that's one big thing, and the 45-degree thing has really worked out for me. I can throw some examples up of it that I've gotten in the past, and it works really good. Now we're going to back up here a little bit. Let's say you got like a good intersection like this here, and you got a tree like this one right here. That would work really good. Usually what I'm going to do when I'm putting my cameras out is I'm going to kind of get them low and where the deer's head is going to be when it's walking. Now when I set them up where the trails are coming from behind the tree, you want to put it up a little bit higher and try to have it pointed down at the camera. Now the reason you do that is because you don't want to have a close-up picture when the deer is right here or right here and have just a picture of like one half of its rack or an ear or something like that. You put the camera up a little higher, have it facing right down the trail. The deer that are coming down the trail at the camera, you're going to get really good pictures of those. And then also it gives them a little bit of time to get out away from the camera, and it'll get that picture of them when it's out just a little bit further. So that's kind of just my examples that I can give you of setting them on trails. There's definitely other ways of doing it, and you kind of just got to do what works, but the main thing I'm getting at is just kind of think about where the deer are going to be and how you're going to get the best pictures. So that's pretty much all I got for that. I'm going to keep moving on. Okay, the last thing I'm going to talk to you guys about here, I got my mineral site. In the summer months, the early spring is when it actually benefits these deer to get the mineral out there. The mineral also doubles as a great way to just draw deer in and get pictures of deer and see what you got. So I'm not a huge fan of just having mineral all over the place, but I do have a couple mineral sites, and I'll run them just to, like I said, get pictures of deer, draw them into one area to get the pictures and see what's around. So mineral site can be a great way of utilizing your trail cameras too. Kind of like I talked about with the scrape, you can set your camera up, you know the deer are going to be coming right here, so you just set it up to right where you know they're going to be. And it's a great way to, once again, get the most out of your cameras, figure out where the deer are or what's in your area. But other than that, I mean, there's a million things I could talk about. Those are just some of the main things, some of the biggest tips that I can help you out with, hopefully get you started. And with that knowledge, I think you guys should definitely be able to go out there and get some good pictures and hopefully kill some big deer. Good luck in the upcoming season, and we'll see you next time.